Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. If you just joined us, this is TMI. You can call it this morning on ITV. You will be right on point. And we're taking a look at the conduct of Bayelsa Kogi State election, fine-tuning the process. With me here, I have two good analysts. They are speaking true to power, giving reasons to back their own reasons, or will I say giving fact to back their own analysis of why the process yesterday should be fine-tuned, because from their body language, what they've said, the process is not fine-tuned properly. For that reason, something needs to be done about it so that Nigerians can be happy about the outcome of any given election. I still have Barrister Emmanuel Obakpalo and, of course, Comrade Destiny Asabo. They are talking about the election that was conducted yesterday. Well, gentlemen, if you take a look at the election yesterday, some persons have this opinion that, yes, it might not be what we expected, but you can't take it from the election that it was peaceful. The results have been collated. Some already been announced as we are yet talking. Taking a look at the parties involved, we are not the umpire. We're not trying to prompt anybody to say this is the winner or that is the loser. If you take a look at circumstances and situation, what is the hope of political parties that are not in the top 3 right now in Nigeria in subsequent elections?
We say first, when you score an election peaceful,
yes,
and you have voters apathy, is that election peaceful? I did say a few minutes ago that these 3 ingredients must be present for an election to be determined. 1, will the election be peaceful? 2, would my vote count? 3, would the election be free, fair, and credible? In a situation where you have voter apathy, that election cannot be credited to be what? Peaceful. Because what peaceful does not ordinarily means because people did not come to vote. Peaceful does not mean the littering of security agents. The only way an election can be peaceful is where you don't have security agents littered all over the polling units. That election is peaceful.
Protection of lives and properties during the election. No, put that kind of election we practice here. It isn't taken the disarray.
We even witness skirmishes in the election. For instance, we saw ballot box snatching. We saw people who metamorphosed from bloody civilians to policemen and military men. We saw them on uniform. We saw INEC staff already written results. Is that election peaceful? Is that an election? Until we get out of all this nonsense, election cannot be said to be peaceful in Nigeria. For the fact that I'm alive, I am not in Kogi State to vote. I am not in Bayelsa to vote. I am not in Imo to vote. Does not mean I will sit down here and score the election in those 3 states to be peaceful. Thank God for the press, both electronic and printing. Thank God for them. The press have been able to educate us, to give us information on what transpired and what is still transpiring in these 3 states. No wonder the election was titled off-cycle elections. It is really an off-cycle one. We are playing with the destiny of Nigerians. And my worry are the children unborn. What are they going to, what type of baton are we going to hand over to them? I am no longer a child. I have children. You have children. this young man does, what are we going to pass to our children? Is this kind of process we are going to pass to them? Talk more that these children now are more scientific and technological. So, I don't think the leadership in this country is ready for something good. No wonder some will tell you.
You cannot say that
no
I'm not ready for something
tell you
good.
That, can you imagine a situation where a politician will tell you that I am shame? So whatever shame you people think you want to give to me, it does not matter. I am shame. Today, we see situation where politicians groom thugs, like Napoleon in Animal Farm. Today, we see situation. Most of the security challenge we have today in Nigeria, they are made. They are Nigerian-made insecurity. This security threat we have, they are Nigerian-made insecurity and caused by the politicians. Everyone know that. And that's why I tell you that the activities and the conduct of an average Nigerian politician is an invitation to treat to military rule. I'm telling you. Forget the grammar, forget the language of the military. Oh, we are not there, we cannot take over power. If A says we will not get into politics, what about B? Because even the military men are going through the same pains an ordinary Nigerian is going through. And you think they are happy? If the men at the top there are getting the money in dollars, what about the ones down the ladder? Are they also getting the money in dollars? So every Nigerian is pained with the situation we find ourselves. And until there is an attempt for us to get out of this, we will continue to have the kind of selection and appointment we had yesterday.
All right. Now, there were threats to life. You get to hear one complaint that I'm being threatened even in course of the election, during, before, and even after the election. How can we really salvage this? Comrade Destiny.
When the issue of being threatened, I don't think it's a new thing. It has always been happening. If not for the same issue of insecurity that we are talking about. Because the security of every Nigerian is not guaranteed. That is why you can be bold enough to go issue threats to somebody. And that person will not be bold enough to come out and say, maybe Mr. A came threatening me. Why? Because even the agency that you are going to make these complaints and reports to, your safety is not guaranteed. So the Nigeria we find ourselves today, it is so painful that nothing is working. And nobody is also making an attempt to see how this thing works. Even the few ones that are trying to see how to redefine all of these things, you will not see that the voice of those few ones will not be heard. The majority will always try as much as possible to suppress the minority to ensure that the voice of that minority is not being heard. You see, the majority, like I said, this security issue, most especially, if you go to an advanced country, security issue, the first priority of their citizen is security. I have a friend who lives in Japan, told me over 15 to 17 years that he has been in Japan. He has not for once, come across maybe an insecurity issue like maybe police on the road and all of those stuff. As a matter of fact, when he misplaced his phone, he wanted to go and buy another one. When he got to where he wants to get another phone, he was told that he should go to a certain police station. That a report came that his phone is there. That can never happen in our country.
But still in the same Japan, a former prime minister was assassinated. Was it this year? Shinzo Abe was assassinated.
No, that is far different.
From this?
Yes.
Okay.
You understand?
Because he's a politician.
There is no way.
He was a politician who was assassinated.
It was not insecurity threat.
Yes.
It wasn't.
You understand?
Not insecurity threat. Hold on, I'm coming. Destiny, how? A politician in Japan he raised was murdered. He was assassinated. Are you saying it's not a security threat? How?
It isn't. It isn't a security threat.
So what is it?
To the extent that Japan has a very good security network.
But still, someone as highly placed as that man, Shinzo Abe, was eliminated.
And you know why I love them? The person was gotten, true of us.
Of course,
was arrested. Good. But yeah, you cannot even arrest anybody.
Says who?
You cannot even punish
some arrests have been made already. Anyway, that is on another note, not on the discussion. I'll come back to it. Please continue. Continue us about, yeah.
So, what I'm saying is not far from. Because of the insecurity issue, that is why you see people die in silence. Because
nobody wants to talk.
There's nowhere you will go and hear your complaints and it will be treated well. Is it the same security agency that they are using against you that you want to go and meet? I will tell you that if you try such thing, the same security agency that you have run to will also inform the said person who is issuing the threat to you. You see that because security, you as a person, your security is not guaranteed. So that is why you want to die in fear. What kills us in our country most of the times is this fear of unknown. If I decide to hear or make an exposure of this particular thing, what will be the end part? That is the problem. So that has also given birth to making issuing threats becomes normal to the high level persons. But if you try it just as a common man, you issue threats to a fellow man like you or something, you will be totally dead to it. So I can categorically tell you that when it comes to rules and regulation, laws, I think the laws in Nigeria are totally made for the poor. Because these are the persons that are affected. If you as a common man, you are being fined, maybe you stole 1,000 naira or something, what will happen you cannot explain. But we are talking about issue of 18 billion. We are talking about issue of 11 million or 11 billion here being recovered yesterday. Now the question is, who was that money recovered from? The person cannot be quoted.
No, they say for vote buyers and vote sellers.
No, for vote buyers and
for security reasons, they don't want to expose them of the person.
With security.
Until after investigation.
Are they security reasons? You already arrested somebody with an exhibit, and you are waiting for.
They are still investigating. They are still investigating.
You are acting a movie like all of these things I keep saying. It's a movie. You understand? Because that person in particular is not a faceless person. In a place where transparency exists, you will bring that person, not giving us stories of how the thing happened. We should be carried along. It is not something of the secret. If it's something of the secret, it should be kept secret. Not telling the people of the public something like this happened. And you are not bringing it to us. You are not giving us facts.
All right, I'll come back to you. Let's go back now to the umpire. BVAS was used. And for what they promised us, the results were electronically transferred or transmitted. Is that not a plus? Rather this complaining, I mean, that should be a plus. That should count for something, barrister.
Which result that is going to be transmitted? Which result?
That's what they told us.
What they told us that since last year. They told us before the presidential election 2015. And suddenly they came out to tell us that BVAS they were able to transmit that of the National Assembly, both the Senate and the House of Representatives. But the presidential, they said they were glitches. They couldn't even define what glitches meant. or means, as the case may be.
But in this election, there were no complaint of beavers not working.
Beavers not working, there are issues. Is it which result did they transmit? Is it the one that were written before the vote? Is that the result they want to transmit? What now guarantees Nigerians or guarantee the electorates in Kogi, in Imo, in Bayelsa, that it was their votes that was transmitted and not the one that were written before the election? Because mind you, it is the voters result sheet that will be snapped and transmitted, mind you, and already they have an already made voters sheet even before the elections. So is it the one?
But the result of that one was cancelled by INEC.
Listen,
that count for something?
Is it not the one that the people were conscious, and the people said no, we want to see that the result sheets are plain before we can vote? Is it not those ones? What about the ones that the people, like in the villages, in the interiors, where the people don't even understand what it means to what result sheet means? What the people only know is that give me ballot paper, let me thumbprint and go. What happens in those places? So if you are telling me that I should come and score INEC, give INEC a pass mark because INEC prepared already made result sheets to come and
come on, don't say INEC. Some of the bad staff in INEC, some of the ad hoc staff in INEC.
Are they representing Obakpolo? Or are they representing Edo State? They are representing INEC. Who is their employer? Is it not INEC? Is it me? So, let us not pretend that it is not okay. Because the problem we have is that every one of us is pretending that it is okay. And that is a problem on its own. Let us say things the way they are. Right. If we want this country to move forward, if we want this country to move onward, and if we want this country to go upward in the Committee of Nations, then we should be ready to tell the truth and say things the way they are. If not, we'll retrogress the more.
Over to you, scoring INEC. Those who come back to them after this break, I mean, they made some wonderful promises. Except for that incident that happened yesterday in Kogi State about already filled result sheets. And people are asking, how did they get that result sheet? And that's a question for another day. At least the performance thus far in other parts of the states that INEC conducted this off-cycle election. I mean, from what they told us, we're able to carry out what we promised. We didn't hear much complaints about beavers. Take it up from there.
Talking about the beavers machine. That beavers machine was also there when the INEC staffs were busy thumbprinting. So I don't have any score to. There's no level of rating the INEC. You understand? Because then as a matter of fact, that's whatever happened yesterday cannot be called election. Like I said before, I think that's just a selection.
No, process. It's an election process. No. People came out to vote. People came out to vote. So it's an election process, not selection, please.
People came out to vote. The same people you are talking about now. I believe there are some certain, every individual in an election ground have their different roles to play. Like the security agency, we are being deployed for a certain role, like to make the place peaceful and all that. Like the INEC staffs, we are being deployed to carry out their own functions and all that. Voters have their roles to play likewise. So in the process where you as an INEC staff put aside your own role that you ought to play or that you ought to be playing in an election ground, and you are now playing that of the voter, then what score do you expect from me?
I'll come back to you. I want to go for a break. When we return, we'll continue with this discussion. This time around, we're going to focus more on fine-tuning the process. What and what should be done? Starting from the politicians, the umpires, security agents, even us, the electorate, what and what should be fine-tuned at least to give us a close to perfect election. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is TMI. We're taking a look at fine-tuning the electoral process, a kind of a spin-off from the up-cycle election, the Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo State. I have Barrister Emmanuel Obakmalayo in the studio, and of course, Comrade Destiny Asabo. They've been talking at length for quite a while now on what they feel about the election. A top-ranked member of the judiciary cried out that, look, making the judiciary the last hope of determining who wins or loses an election spells doom for Nigerian democracy. Do you see this off-cycle election, the candidates involved heading to court to ascertain the winners of this election? Barrister Man, I want to start off with you.
We saw it in the 25th of February presidential elections during the collation at the National Collation Center, Abuja, where a representative of the People's Democratic Party, the person of Senator Dino Melaye, stood up and reminded the court of its powers. Reminded INEC of its powers as spelled out in Section 65 of the Electoral Act 2022, which provide for that INEC should review results before the results are announced. And the INEC National Chairman did promise that he was going to do that. But amazingly, he declared the results the mid of the night, like the gathering of witches and wizards, around 3 a.m.
Your terminology, Barrister. I don't like your terminology. What kind of gathering of witches and wizards?
While people were busy sleeping. And we woke up to hear the declaration. And since then, and then when people began to ask questions, and the next thing that came from INEC was go to court. And we saw all of the burden placed on the Judiciary to determine the winner. Listen, I must tell you, as a matter of fact, I've said it many a time, that look, it is dangerous to allow the judiciary to determine the winner of an election. It is dangerous, not just to judiciary, also to INEC and to the people, because it goes to show the inefficiency and the incompetence of INEC to conduct an election. Then two, it's a robbery on the people, because it's a situation where a few men will have to sit down to determine the destiny of all. Because like I did say, Section 14, subsection 2A of the extant constitution says that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria. And the interpretation of that sovereignty is that the people donate their power to whoever governs them. Are you getting me? So now that it is no longer the people that determine who governs them, but a few persons, it's dangerous. So I cannot give a plus, or I cannot applaud the judiciary for determining who governs the people. But however, INEC has consciously and deliberately put that burden on the judiciary. And I see that happening in these half-cycle elections.
Do you share his views? Because Dino Melaye said they should cancel the election held yesterday for 5 local governments. And of course, in Imo State, some cried also that some units' elections should be cancelled because of violence. And don't forget that INEC said if there is a case of reported violence in any unit, it will be cancelled. Do you see litigations looming?
Of course. It is very obvious. It is glaring, you know. But it is so painful that most of the times INEC, after they have failed in carrying out their sole responsibility, will not push the problem, the burdens to the judiciary. This is a country where you are being told if you are not satisfied with the results that you get from the INEC, go to court. To me, I think this statement is being used because most of the times, before now, the judiciary used to be the last hope of every common man out there. But some certain few persons have also come to redefine it, that no, it is no longer the way it used to be. So because of these problems, there are man-made problems. So
Caused by who?
caused by INEC.
INEC or politicians?
INEC.
Or politicians?
Mr. Wilson, it is caused by INEC. Because it is, my father told me, he said, in a place where there are 9 persons, when one person comes to join, to automatically makes it 10. 2 things happens. Either that one that comes will influence the 9, either positively or negatively, or the 9 will influence that particular one positively or negatively. If you have made yourself open and like I said before, the way you dress, like people will say, also determine how you will be addressed. The INEC has, they have long present themselves to the people, to politicians, that they can be bought over.
In what ways?
In several ways. They made it open. That is why they are not the one determining what happens. That is why you see all this process. That is why you see things happening the way they are happening. Where the vote of the people who ought to count no longer count. Because the INEC in question will be working particularly for a particular set of persons against the other sets of persons. So, which ordinarily they ought to be neutral. You say things the way they are. But because they have failed in their own responsibility, they now pass the baton of the burden, to judiciary. And this same judiciary, they are not exceptional in the case of this politician trying to see how to manipulate
the results.
Yes, of course. That is why you see people, they say it with all confidence. If you are not okay with whatever you are seeing or whatever results that comes, go to court, because they know that even the court you are going to, there is no 100% guarantee of you getting the actual fact or the actual result that is expected.
Okay. That is in your court right now. Judiciary also, according to him, is part of the problem. Take it up from there.
You cannot eliminate that totally. You cannot. But like I did say, a situation where INEC consciously and deliberately shift the burden of who determines who wins an election, it becomes a problem. And unfortunately, it's a paramount one just now. Because where INEC shows or proves to be incompetent, then you cannot now rely or depend on the incompetence of INEC. So, questions, people will ask questions. And the judiciary, being the third arm of government, is to intervene in such situations. And mind you, the judiciary, the members, the judiciary, they are not with the facts. Unfortunately, when any person comes to court, the law, the principle is that you prove your case. Whether the judiciary knows that this is the position, the judiciary is not a Father Christmas to give you what you didn't ask for. Instead, you will now be given the opportunity to prove your case. The function of the judiciary is to evaluate your facts that you've brought before them and thereafter make a pronouncement on that fact. So, but where the problem is, like we had in the last election, is that even some of those are, despite the incompetence and inefficiency of INEC, those facts are deliberately hidden. So even the aggrieved man or the aggrieved party who goes to court does not have facts to present before the court. And the judiciary will now evaluate what you present before them and thereafter make their pronouncement. And before you know it, people will begin to shout, oh, the judiciary is corrupt. But as it is just now, even the judiciary in Nigeria is helpless. Because, like I did say from the outset,
helpless or corrupt. Don't forget about the cry of a retired Supreme Court justice about corruption taking place in the apex court.
So I am not doubting that fact. But I am telling you how a case or cases are won. Look, let me tell you. A case is won even before the matter comes to court. I'm telling you the truth. Your pleadings will determine whether you are going to win or lose that case. Even before the matter. Because you know, it is the facts you have. The lawyer or lawyers. It is the facts they have that they present to court. What if you don't have a strong base fact to present? How would you win that case? So, that's why it is said that in electoral matters, mostly in Nigeria, it is the court that is on trial. It is not even the parties that come to court. Because the truth remains, the parties themselves know the truth. So, hence the parties know the truth, the court is now on trial. And where facts are hidden deliberately and consciously, then you have an outburst like we had in the last presidential election.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Emmanuel Obapolo. That is the last line on the discussion. We'll take a look at the time. The time is fast spent. What advice do you have for Nigerians? This time around, we've seen the off-cycle elections. So many persons are not satisfied with it. Some very few are satisfied with it. So take it up from there, briefly.
Yeah, my advice to Nigerians, every Nigerian out there, it's simple. Nothing good comes easy. Let's not give up. Let's keep pressing. Let's have this belief, this strong belief that one day, a day will come that all of these things will be the thing of the past. So let us keep playing our role as our good role as a good citizen of this country, who have this country at heart, who have the belief that one day all of these pharaohs will not see them again.
Okay, thank you.
And that day is
thank
now.
You. That day is now. Anyway, you've heard them. They've spoken their mind despite the emotional outburst. In some climb, they spoke their mind on what to feel about the cycle election. But in this picture, how can you trust an umpire when the umpire assigns responsibility to some persons and you get to see before an election an already filled result sheet? And the trust of Nigerians, INEC. You have a lot of work to do. You need to earn the trust of Nigerians. Who gave that person that sheet? Who wrote those things? And the thing has this big INEC logo. What is going on? Nigeria is our own. We want to make it better. We have to start from the elections. That is the main thing. If we can get the election right, definitely we will have a better country. See you next week Sunday, God willing. Bye for now.